Welcome to Elagan Whiteboard Friday, where we look at complex legal and compliance issues in a simple to do way. This series is brought to you by Elagan, your partner and provider of end-to-end business services.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Elagan Whiteboard Friday. This is Vikas from the Elagan team, and I have with me today Mr. Naeem Jaffer. He is the president and CEO of Bitzer Mobile and also a lecturer at the Haas School of Business at UC Berkeley. Now, today I want to talk about board of advisors or mentors. What role do they have? Is it important to have them? Who are these people? Why should a company care about having one?
So board of advisor and mentors are useful for several reasons. Most of them, when you're starting a business, you have an incomplete team. You may have a guy who's great in building scalable websites and infrastructure, one guy who really understands how to run companies, but you're doing something for medical instrumentation industry. But none of you have worked in medical instrumentation. So having an advisory board, when one or two members come from the domain, really understand the language, makes you look like a more complete team. So you use these mentors or advisors to fill in the holes you have in your knowledge or in your market appearance. But then also, I think there are 5 different types of board of advisors which you may consider. Okay, and one of them I call a domain expert. So you're doing something, let's say, for in certain industry, let's say transportation. Okay. So somebody who is in trucking and transportation really understands. The second kind of person could be a technology expert. So you're doing something in cloud, it's a SaaS architecture, somebody who really spent time in cloud. Nice to have somebody like that. Third person is a personal coach. So this is a person who may know nothing about the technology or the domain, but they like you and they're willing to invest with you how to be a better executive. The fourth kind of person, which I call, is a connector. This person knows nothing about any of these things, but they're highly connected, and having them, they can open the door, they can do introduction. It's great to have a guy like that. The fifth kind of person I know is kind of a celebrity. So this is a famous person. Getting Shabir Bhatia, the founder of Hotmail, he may have no time for you to spend any time, but the fact that you have in the board is a celebrity status, or having Angelina Jolie on your board. So it opens door, people take you more seriously. So if you can get one of each kind, then it's a very comprehensive and complete board. But you don't always get this lucky, and you don't have to.
Yeah. And so when do you approach these advisors? And how do you approach them?
You approach them as often and as whenever you can. Remember, you only have 2 currencies, your charisma and your passion, and maybe some stock options. And you normally don't have to give a lot. Typically, it's 0.5%. It's a 0.25% to 2% is the range. Okay. Typically, 0.5%, maximum 1%, you can get most people. And their expectation is they'll meet with you maybe once a month or at least once a quarter.
Yeah.
And maybe a couple times a year as a group, but that's almost never happens. So they want to act like board. But having access to them is what you're paying them a little bit of stock options for.
Do you also do vesting schedule with them?
Yeah, you always do vesting. Sometimes I can do 2-year vesting because most of these advisors lose their value after 2 years or have to go 4 years, and usually no cliff.
And how do you make sure that, what preparations do you have to continuously go out and ask them questions? How often can you use them?
As often as they'll let you get away with it.
Okay.
But remember, they're unlikely to come to you to offer to help. You have to reach out to them. All you have bought is access. Okay. If you don't use the access, it's your fault.
And also their name. So how important is if somebody gets a board of advisors, just put them in the name and in the team page and never goes back to them?
That happens all the time, and especially with a celebrity type.
Okay, but only for that.
No, it's like you can always put them on the board. That's a good thing. Now, how much you use them, I advise that you should try to reach out to all of them.
Okay.
Occasionally, once a month, with a question, maybe have a coffee with them. Once a quarter, have a formal meeting with them. They should be willing to spend at least 2 to 5 hours a quarter. That's the expectation.
So let's look at from the advisor point of view. You are a pretty successful person yourself. So if somebody has to approach you, what would you look for in a company or an entrepreneur?
So I have to connect with the entrepreneur myself. I have to see something in them or I have to see can I add some value to them? It is a satisfying relationship for me. It either comes from if they show unusual, gifted smart person, because you always want to hang out with the smart people, or they're unusually polite, or they really are going some places, or they're solving a problem which you think you want to be a part of solving.
Yeah.
So all of those things matter. So how you approach them, how you use the time, are you efficient, you don't abuse the time privilege, is how you people connect. So I very selectively agree to be an advisor to somebody because of all these reasons.
Now, will it be like just approaching somebody out of the blue and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, be my advisor, isn't a bad thing, or it depends, or you really should go through somebody you know?
Whenever in confusion about entrepreneurship, the dating analogy always applies. So same thing, you can go to a girl and say, right away ask that question, but usually that is not going to have a favorable answer. So you should get to know, you get comfortable, and then you can ask the question.